Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Sens Nation podcast brought to you by Jim K. Ford. It is Steve Warren along with the coach, Greg Kennedy. And I do need to say our names now because Big Voice is gone. So we're completely anonymous for the entirety of the last show. But welcome to the proceedings. The Senators have lost 5 of 6. As we settle in here, I don't even know if you can see it. Right beside the Senators' hot stove. That's where I am. And Greg is in front of the greatest wall of hockey books known to man. Does anybody rival your list of NHL books, do you think?
There's a couple guys. Steve. I'm on the with the International Hockey Research guys. You can put your own library on there, and there's a couple guys ahead of me. It's embarrassing. I got to catch up. I don't think all mine are entered, though. I got to make sure I enter all mine, and then I'll see where I'm at.
Our audio-only podcast listeners are going, what are you guys talking about? Well, that's a visual that you can pick up at our YouTube channel. Basically, if you ever forget where to find us, like I wouldn't mind hearing what Warrensy and the coach have to say about the latest Sens news that's out there. Just remember, Sens Nation. You can Google that, and you can find it anywhere on your favorite platform. So that's your golden rule, effectively. But as I said off the top, Sens have lost 5 of their last 6 games. Since we last got together, it was a 1-goal loss to the St. Louis Blues, followed by a 1-goal loss to the New Jersey Devils. And I think the Devil game was probably a little more disappointing for Sens fans, Sens Nation, because that's a team that came in losers of 5 in a row. They had only scored 1 goal total in the previous 3 games. And I think that they may have been a little distracted from all of the Quinn Hughes trade rumors swirling around, because people think, they should be excited about getting such a great defenseman, Norris Trophy level candidate. But they don't think in terms of that's going to unsettle any room, Greg, because they know that the Devil player or a teammate or 2 or 3 might be going out the door. So it's not always as exciting for the team. So they may be unsettled because of that. And even despite all that, everything I just talked about, the Sens couldn't find a W in that one. Kind of disappointing.
Yeah, another game without a 5-on-5 goal too, right? Like it's 2 in a row, and you're going back to 3 games ago, the last time that they scored a 5-on-5 goal. Power play looked good, 3 goals, probably should have been 4. I think the disallowed goal was also a power play goal, I think, but it can't score 5-on-5. Don't even seem to generate as many chances. I don't have the stats in front of me, but it just seems that way. It seems that they're grade A, super, gotta score. Oh yeah, that's a sure goal. Those don't seem to happen for the Senators to the same level, the same degree as they used to come about for them. And that's starting to be a little disconcerting here. It's like, ooh, what's going on? Let's get some offense going. That's scary.
Their standings are scary. You look at where they're at right now, to be second last in the Eastern Conference right now. And they've been hovering there for a few days now, but now they're at a stage where the deficit in terms of points out of the playoffs is now a meaningful number. It's not just, hey, we win tonight, we go from second last in the conference to second in the division, as things were kind of shaping out for a while. But you lose 5 of 6, that can change in a hurry when things are as tight as they are. Right now, they're 5 points out of the wild card. They're 5 points out of the top 3 in the Atlantic. So for all intents and purposes, 5 points out of a playoff spot, and in second last. When that number that you're out by increases like this, now you suddenly worry about the number of teams that are in front of you. It's that much harder to claw your way back into things. We're not at a bleak, dire spot, but things have gotten a lot worse here in the last week for the Senators' playoff chances. What say you?
I agree completely, Steve. And as you said, it's the number of teams above you. It's one thing to be 3, 4, 5 points back, but when there's 4, 5, 6 teams, there's all those teams in the Metro that are ahead of them in the wild card race. Like, it's tough to make up ground on those guys when you don't get to play them as often. It's getting to the point now where things are getting late. It's weird to say that in early December, but when you're a team that's out of the playoff race in December, it's already almost too late. Like, you need to get moving to start racking up points. Enough of these DJ Smith wins. I'm getting tired of Travis Green and some of the players even after games saying, that's a pretty good game. We played well enough to win. Most nights that kind of game gets you a point or two. That ain't cutting it anymore. The start of the year when they maybe weren't doing as well, they were at least racking up some points here and there, getting some overtime losses, and that's not even happening anymore. They're not even getting 1-point games. It's a big 7 games basically between now and Christmas, and they need to get some points. They need to put some points in the bank and fast. Need to get it done.
I would go with Travis Green on the whole notion of that, in their 3 games in the homestand, they felt like they played pretty well and deserved a better fate. But I'm not entirely sold on that, because it's also about the kinds of mistakes you're making. Like, how calamitous are the mistakes you're making? And I'll even go to an old cliche that any team, no matter how well they're playing as a group, they're only as good as their weakest links. And right now, because of being miscast, because of the Shabbat injury, I think, because of being miscast, Tyler Kleven, Jordan Spence, like, they are weakest links now. Now that they're playing higher in the lineup than they should be, I think that's problematic, and we're seeing mistake after mistake right now. And even with Jake Sanderson, like we were talking off the air, Sanderson in that Blues game, it's a 1-0 game, I think it was, and it's a dump in at the start of a period, and he goes back into his own corner and just rifles a rim around behind the net and up the boards. The Blues keep it in, and then Sanderson goes over and covers no one. Neighbors is all alone at the far post, takes a pass, and suddenly 12 seconds into the period, there's another goal for the Blues. And Sanderson obviously is a terrific defenseman, don't get me wrong, but I'm seeing on that blue line right now, there's 2 problems. There's guys that are miscast, that are playing higher in the lineup than they should, and Sanderson is playing probably more hockey than the team would like him to be, and maybe that's starting to show too.
Yeah, trying to do more, expected to do more. He got up close to 30 minutes, didn't he, in the St. Louis game? Like that,
31.
Crazy. 31 minutes. That's crazy. I think you take those 6 guys that are playing defense right now. Spence, sorry, not playing well. I don't think he's played well all year, for that matter. Zub is just Zub. Does his job. He's there. Sanderson, I think, is trying to do too much. Spence, as you alluded to, overexposed and had a bad night. Oh, he had a bad night last game. What was he? I think he was -4. And Kleven not looking good lately, and Matt and Powell's just a body who's there. You take one guy out, and it just suddenly everybody's miscast. Everybody's in the wrong spot. They're not slotted the same as they usually are. The lack of depth on the blue line, particularly on that left side, is now showing, and you're seeing it's not that. What's the opposite of the fruits of your labor? You're seeing the drudge, whatever. It's not working for you because you got a lack of depth there, and guys are having a tough time filling holes, filling slots that they don't belong in.
It does speak to depth overall. You'd think that because I'll go ahead and blame it. What was happening in the latter years before the Andlauer era began with the frittering away of assets. I think that even though the rebuild has yielded some good things, I think that a lot of assets went out the door in terms of people that could be young players that be helping them right now. Yeah, they got Yakimchuk, they've got Halliday, but it could be so much more. And because I think Pierre Dorion thought the rebuild was over 3 years before it actually was, he started making moves that should be making right now. And so as a result, there's a little bit of, now that we've got a little injury with Shane Pinto, Thomas Chabot, we can even throw Nick Jensen in there as well, because I think we can agree he's not all the way back yet. And so that's a factor as well. So really the depth is being really tested here. It's not in the kind of shape that Steve Staios would have liked to have inherited from the previous general manager, but you know what? If it was in good shape, he probably wouldn't be the general manager. Maybe Pierre Dorion is still rolling along in that role, but I think that's the depth factor. This team can't afford key injuries, and they've got them right now.
Yeah, and you don't think they might want to have the Dylan DeMello deal over again? You know, you're missing Dylan DeMello. That hurts. That's the kind of guy where a decision was made. That was sort of in the clear him out stage, right? Free agent, pending free agent. Yeah, we're not going to pay him whatever he wants. We're going to get rid of him. I think he was one of the guys that lower down on the pay scale that maybe you might wanted to keep. But yeah, you traded away draft picks. Like they traded away picks in deals where eat some contract, take this guy and his bad contract and throw out a draft pick here, throw out a draft pick here. And it cost you the draft picks in the DeBrincat deal. And I think a little bit of overinflated opinion of what you have caused you to trade some things that maybe you shouldn't have traded. But then again, it's 2020 rose-colored perfection looking back glasses, right? We can see everything clearly now. So we're probably being a little harsher than we should be, but there were some deals in there that maybe shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, you'd like things to be a little deeper than they are right now, just given all of the miserable seasons and stockpiling draft picks and things like that. It just seemed like things went off a little too soon in terms of the go for it types of negotiations and deals. When we come back on the show, take a quick time out here. We'll talk a little bit about the very weird Drake Batherson disallowed goal that the officials decided was had a distinct kicking motion. And I think we're on the same page on that one, but we'll get into that. We'll talk about big comeback potentially for an NHL veteran who used to play for the Senators and Nick Cousins with another honor that maybe he doesn't want. That's coming up after these words.
Oh, hey, how's it hanging? This is no time to joke. I could have easily avoided all this, like zero chance. And now, I'm literally a human ornament.
So save yourself and never hang lights again. Book a spring install today and receive 10% off.
And, can somebody help, please?
Our new sponsor, Steve, the Midas, the 5 locations here in Ottawa and 1 in Gatineau, 4 in Ottawa, 1 in Gatineau, have joined us as a sponsor, and they got a deal on with these Nexen, N-E-X-E-N, Nexen tires, a good mid-range tire, I'm told. And these puppies are on buy 3, get 1 free. Like that's 25% off, Steve. You can't beat that with a stick. If you're suddenly realizing, oh my God, winter's here and you haven't got your tires yet, you might want to hop into one of these 5 Midas shops. There's one in Orleans. There's one at Bank Street, just south of Heron there. There's one at Bell's Corners. There's one at Bronson, just north of the Queensway. And of course, Gatineau, as I said. Any one of these spots, get in there, get some tires, buy 3, get 1 free on these Nexens. That's a hell of a deal.
Look, I've played a lot of games. The great ones you'll remember. That's what these lights do. They turn moments into memories. Legendary lighting. Celebrate is the real deal. Permanent lights, year-round style.
All right, welcome back to the program. Drake Batherson should have had a hat trick, and that would have probably come in handy in a 1-goal loss in regulation against the New Jersey Devils back on Tuesday night. But Drake Batherson should have been his second goal of the night. He would score again after that. But it was a weird play that basically they called a distinct kicking motion. When the puck kind of squirted out to Batherson, trying to describe this here. You know what? I'll put some video up maybe here for those of you on YouTube. The puck was basically near the Devils' net. It squirted down below the goal line toward the end boards where Batherson is coming along, approaching the net. And so all he has time to do is kind of stick out his right leg to corral it. It looked to me like he was trying to boot it behind the net so that he could boot it up to his stick and make a play, but it caromed off his blade and went to the front of the net and then caromed again off of Jacob Markstrom, the goaltender for the Devils, and into the net. I thought that was a slam dunk, 100% goal, but the officials did not agree. They said it was a distinct kicking motion, no goal. What did you think?
I thought it was a terrible, terrible call, Steve. Like, was he trying to kick the puck? Yeah, I think he was. I think he was trying to kick the puck up to his stick. And if you watch the replay, you can see he takes a swipe at it, trying to shoot it. He kicks it down towards his feet and then swings his stick to try to shoot it. He fans on it, and it ends up going right off the pad of Markstrom and in the net. Like, I get it. You can't kick the puck into the net. That shouldn't be allowed. But he wasn't even trying. It's not like he stood there and said, oh, I'm going to kick it off his pad. That wasn't what he was trying to do. Can we not go back to the intent of the player? Was he intending to kick it? Yes. But was he intending to kick it to score? No. I just thought it was a terrible, terrible call. Like, it sounds silly, but that's one of the worst ones I've seen in a long time on these replays. Just terrible call.
I'd agree, and I think that the replay officials can make it a lot easier on themselves on plays like that. Not that they happen very often, because most of the time there's any sort of kicking motion, you're in front of the net, and the puck goes off your skate and directly into the net. In a play like this, they could have made it a whole lot easier on themselves by just looking at the follow-through. Watch what the skate does. What direction is that skate going in? And the skate is clearly going in a forward manner behind the net. The intent is to move the puck forward behind the net, never to the front of the net, never an attempt to try and boot one in, one time a punt off of your skate and trying to, I mean, there's just so much would have had to gone into that. And Batherson had a clever line about it. It's like, I don't think they know anything about how terrible a soccer player I am. Because you think about everything that had to go into that. First, the puck squirts out. He's got to have the presence of mind to get a skate on it and then know that you got Markstrom basically in a position where you can maybe one-time this thing. So you get it, you one-touch it off of Markstrom and in. I mean, that's a lot of fine motor skills and mental processing that has to go on there for that to happen. But I mean, I'm 2-3 steps into this. The biggest thing to me, it wasn't a kicking motion. Like I think it looked like he turned his skate and basically it never came off the ice. That's another way you can decide if it's a kicking motion or not. I didn't see that blade come off the ice at all. He just turned it and maybe moved it forward a little bit, but I didn't see like a skate coming off the ice per se. So from every perspective,
look at it again then.
Yeah, I didn't see it come off the ice.
You think you're saying it was his right skate? I'm saying it was his left skate. He lifted his left leg up in the air to kick the puck down to his stick. You saw it as going off his right skate. I thought it went off his left skate.
Well, I'm going by memory, so don't 100% quote me. One of the skates anyway. I thought it was his right.
It was his left skate kicking it down towards his stick so that he could shoot the puck. So he could. Guys do it all the time. You get a pass up in the air, a couple inches off the ice. You lift up, you hit it with your blade down to your stick, your skate blade down to the blade of your stick, and carry on. And that's what he was doing. He was trying to kick the puck down to his stick. Let me ask you this: if I'm off to the side of the net and the puck comes out of a scramble and you're wide open in the slot and my stick's tied up and I try to kick a pass to you, which happens. I kick a pass to you, you shoot it in the net, that's a goal. What if I kick that pass to you and it hits somebody else on the other team and goes in the net? It was a distinct kicking motion. I'll admit I was trying to kick the puck to you. Does that goal count or not count? I think that's what the argument comes down to. It was a kick, but he wasn't trying to kick it in the net.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Kicking happens all over the ice. You see guys like giving pucks big old boots if they're trying to make a pass after they've lost their stick or they've lost their stick killing a penalty and they want to clear the zone and they give that a big boot down the ice if they can. So kicking a puck in a passing situation is always allowed. It's just when you're in front of the net and trying to score, they don't want you doing that, and it'll always be disallowed. But when you're down behind the goal line, the only thing you could potentially be doing there, even if it was a kick, and I don't agree that it was, that's still, let's say it is a kick, that's still at best an attempt to get the puck to the front of the net like any other pass. It just happened that Markstrom was there to interrupt it, but the referee seemed to think that not only was it a distinct kicking motion, but it was an attempt to score. And it certainly, in my mind, was not that.
Right. That's the bottom line. You're right. He was not trying to score, period. Anyway.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Other news. Derick Brassard in the news, former Ottawa Senator who had a great storyline in Ottawa. He was part of that 2017 run to the conference final. He was their third leading scorer, by the way, that year, tied for third in that run to the conference final. Was traded the following year. And I think that may have been like the first kind of apple to fall off the tree when the rebuild started. The following year, maybe it was Carlson first. But anyways, in 17, they went to the conference final. Then in 17-18, that was the year that Brassard was traded at the deadline to Pittsburgh. And it was actually in the fall of 2018 that Erik Karlsson was dealt. So that was around the time that the rebuild really started in earnest. And Brassard bounced around. Did you know that after he left Ottawa that year, he went to 8 different teams in the next 4 years? Crazy. Yeah, before he came back. So he comes back to Ottawa on a PTO, won himself a job at 38 points in 58 games. And then he had that tough leg injury and really couldn't get back from it. So he retired in June of 24. And now all of a sudden, he's decided to make a comeback. He's going to try a pro career over in Switzerland at the age of 38.
That's impressive. Hey, if you're in shape, you're a skater, you're a skill guy, and he's got some intelligence, he could do well on the big ice, right? Like he's a playmaker. He's got good speed. He's got a good hockey sense. He can do very well over there, and he's probably making pretty good coin. And, an apartment and a car and a nice contract. He's doing fine for himself. I think it's great. I don't know that he's going to turn it into something and come back and play in the NHL again, but yeah, he can get a few more years out of it playing hockey for a living. Nothing wrong with that.
Tough. I always look back at the season that was wiped out in the NHL due to the lockout. When you saw guys in their mid-30s that were part of that, they just weren't the same player after that. And now here's Brassard at 38, and he's been out of hockey for 2.5 calendar years. That to me is going to be interesting. Maybe in Switzerland it works out. We all know Switzerland isn't anywhere near the National Hockey League, although to see what Alex Formenton is doing or not doing, the step is, it's large enough. Anyway, yeah, I don't think the NHL is in the cards, but I do wish him well. Obviously, the fire burns there in big game brass. Still think he's got a few big games left in him still, but it must be a hard thing to put down. I mean, I think everybody has a sense of it, right? That's why goofballs like me still play men's league hockey into my 50s, because it's such a fun game and it's hard to put down. And I've never had crowds cheering for me per se. Like that whole lifestyle must be a really difficult thing to walk away from. Again, as a beer leaguer, I can't walk away from just the fun of the sport, but I never had any of the trappings of it, the money, the attention, the fame, the crowd cheering your name and all that stuff. So I think that, I guess I understand where Brassard's coming from and every other guy who's, walking off into the sunset.
So we wish him luck, and that's it, buddy. Go for it. Have fun. Yep. Wish you luck. But
Agreed.
Speaking of Alex Formenton, Dylan Dubé signed.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
With St. Louis. So another one. So you got Carter Hart, and now you got Dylan Dubé has signed, and it's St. Louis, right? He's going down to the American League, and he's probably the best skater of the 5. He's probably the best player. So we'll see how that works out for him.
Are you surprised that the December 1st deadline came and went in the NHL for RFAs like an Alex Formenton, and that he ended up staying in Switzerland? Like, was that, do you think, the Senators asking for too much, or that no one was offering anything at all?
Yeah, I can't imagine the Senators asking for too much. I mean, they know they're not going to sign him. They've made it clear they're not going to keep him. So I'm sure they would have been happy to take a 6th round pick, or a 5th round pick, whatever. So I don't think it was them asking for too much. I honestly think it was nobody was really all that interested. Be it certain teams probably just who could use him, probably the stigma was too much, and certain other teams who think, this beyond, who don't care about the stigma, he's not good enough and we don't need him. I think it's probably that's the case. You got two views on it. The teams that are good enough that don't need him, and the teams that are weak enough don't want to have him around.
I just think about the depth. I don't even want to get into the dialogue about whether it's the right thing or wrong thing from, a life and social side of things. But just from a hockey perspective, just knowing the player at Formenton was in your bottom 6 years ago now, if that guy could suddenly be airlifted into the Sens roster right now, that would be ideal, but obviously it's not just about hockey, so we'll leave it at that. Nick Cousins is a bottom six guy here, and all of a sudden he's back on the top line. He was alongside. And what did you think of that with Tim Stützle? Like, he goes into the game against the Devils. He's on a 5-game sort of skid. He'd had 1 assist in 5 games. And that's another reason probably why the record is the way it is in the last 6 games. But he ended up getting a goal in the game. But is that the way you would handle it with your best scorer scuffling the way he is, and you give him the team's 8th and 11th best scorers in Nick Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund? I thought that was interesting when David Perron's on the 4th line.
It's one thing to get moved off the top line to try to shake things up a little. You could almost justify it to yourself as well. You know, he moves up there. He's going to do some things. It's okay. I'm Dylan Cousins, that is, moves up, and I'm Timmy Stützle. Okay, I'm going to move down to the second line. It'll be okay. But then you're giving Nick Cousins and Fabian Zetterlund. Now, Zetterlund's been good lately, but just, is there some sort of chemistry between Stützle and Nick Cousins that we're not aware of? That's something there? Or are they buddies? Does Stützle love playing with them? Does it make him feel secure? You know, he's used to having a rambunctious, tough, pain in the ass playing on his left side in Brady. So, okay, give him Nick Cousins. But, yeah, I'm looking at it as it's a double whammy for Stützle. You get taken off the top line, and you got 2 guys who could just as easily be on the 4th line. In fact, started the year on the 4th line, are now your 2 wingers on the so-called second line. Yeah, that's a double whammy for Stützle.
Yeah. So on the Nick Cousins front, I want to say congratulations to him. He, for the second season in a row, I think they voted in this back in February, The Athletic did, but for the second straight season, he is the holder of the unprestigious award of being the player that other NHL players would most like to punch in the face. Yes, The Athletic came up with 120 players voting on this, and they voted, and I think something like, I'm going to say around, I'm guessing 25%-ish, 24% I think it was. It was 28% last year. So I guess they're liking his face a little more these days. But anyway, Cousins is the most punchable face, and the medalists all stay the same. It's Brad Marchand with the silver and Matthew Tkachuk with the bronze. Congratulations, Nick Cousins.
Weird, huh? Like, yeah, I get it. But if you read the story, Steve, I don't know if you read the actual article, and the comments, like 5 or 6 of the guys are like, hey, I've played with him. I love him. He's a great teammate. He's a great guy. Even the guys who have never played with him, their comments were along the lines of, all I've ever heard is how great a teammate he is. He sticks up for the guys, you know, great in the room, all that sort of stuff. But I still want to punch him in the face, right? Like, that's even guys who are friends, you know, he's a buddy. I love him, but yeah, he's still the guy I voted for. The one player in the NHL I most want to punch in the face. I don't know if he would have been my first choice. I think your first choice might have been, what, Austin Matthews, maybe?
Well, now that you mention it, but no, Brendan Gallagher would probably be my guy. And he was on the list.
Yeah.
And we'll flash the list up for our YouTube listeners, our viewers. It was a big drop-off after the podium. So Cousins, Marchand, and Matthew Tkachuk were 1, 2, 3 for the second season in a row. And I think the drop-off was massive. Something like, I don't know, 12% down to 4% from the bronze medal spot to the number 4 face punch index. And that'd be Connor Garland. I could see that.
Where's that come from?
I do not like Connor Garland. I think that guy's a buzzsaw for Vancouver. Like, he's annoying as hell, very grating. And so I look at most of the guys on the list. I think it was 13 guys that got more than 1 vote. And in most cases, I look at them and I say, yeah, I can see that. But then checking in at number 12 in the NHL, Ottawa's Tim Stützle. What's up with that?
That's got to be Brendan Gallagher and some buddy of Brendan Gallagher's. That's all there is to it, right? Of the 120 players that were polled, I think it was like, what's that? 3 per team? Something like that. 4 per team would be 120-ish. So obviously Brendan Gallagher must have been one of the 4 Habs that they polled for this for this survey. That's all there is to it. Brendan Gallagher would have definitely voted for Tim Stützle, and probably at least one of his buddies voted for him as well. Maybe Arbor Jack guy was in on this too. Who knows? But it had to be more of a divisional vote, I think, than a league-wide vote for whoever was voting for Tim Stützle.
I'm guessing they got whoever was willing to return their email or text. I don't think there was a lot of science in it, just 120 guys. Whoever we get, just do it.
I liked your theory on the other Cousins, though. I liked your theory on Dylan Cousins.
Yeah, with Cousins winning and then Stützle next, there were 2 guys from the Sens who each had 1 vote, Brady Tkachuk and Dylan Cousins. I was like thinking about Dylan Cousins. I wonder if that was just a case of some NHL player who just got rich Cuz and poor Cuz mixed up and accidentally voted for Dylan Cousins, thinking he was actually voting for Nick. That was the theory.
Yeah, there you go. I'm with you.
A couple of things before we go. We'll talk about the schedule coming up. But first, this is being talked about quite a bit this week. Of course, in Milan, we're going to get the NHL Olympics, the NHL version of the Olympics, the Olympics with the NHL. Let's put it that way. February 6th, things get underway, and everybody's worried about the arena. But the thing that they're talking about now is that they just went ahead and built it not to specs. Like, is it going to be? It's going to be like 4 feet shorter and maybe a little wider. Like, I don't know. Are we going for a square or something here? What's happening here? And I don't think it's going to screw anybody up. The Tkachuk boys talked about it on the Wingman podcast. They say it doesn't bother them. They'd go in an outdoor park and play if it meant for an Olympic gold. But just in general, just out of policy, why are they just willing? Yeah, just willy nilly like this. You know, if I, and I'm not handy, if I built a deck in the backyard and it came out with the wrong dimensions, that would be understandable. But why the best in the world who are putting this thing together for the Olympics? Just this, I don't know. Maybe is there a design? Like, are they trying to put the long track speed skating in there or something? Is that what's happening?
And who looked at the plans and said, yep, that works. Check. I'm in. Good job, boys. Yep. Like, it had to be planned ahead of time. They had to lay the concrete, so they knew what size ice they were building. And I'm perplexed by the whole idea of a rink in Italy not being international size. That's weird. It makes me think that they're just going to turn it into a basketball arena after the Olympics. Like, maybe they're just not going to use it for hockey. They're only using the ice for the Olympics and, maybe a couple of events later on in life, but it's just not that important to them because it's not international size, and it's not even, now we find out it's not even NHL size. So the neutral zone is going to be slightly smaller, but the end zones, the offensive zone, defensive zone, whatever, will be proper NHL size. But it's just weird. It's going to be about a 3 or 4 stride neutral zone now. Guys will get a good head of steam going, hit your own blue line, and you're at the other blue line in about 4 strides max. So it's going to be something to watch, more congestion in the neutral zone, but the offensive zone will stay the same. But I'm with you. I don't understand how it ever got off the drawing board, how it got through the planning stage, or why they would do it that way. Makes no sense.
Just have the Olympics in places where you have already the infrastructure that's required for the games. How about that? We're less than 2 months away from the start of the men's hockey tournament and the women's hockey tournament. I guess they'd be in the same place. And then we're having all these discussions about it. Is it going to be ready? And, oh, look at this. All of a sudden the dimensions are not what we expected. And you think about it just in general, like think about the World Cup soccer. I think it was Rio where they've got like all these state of the art stadiums that are in the middle of nowhere that are just overgrown with, vegetation now. And that wasn't that long ago. You think about Sochi and the Olympic Village, it's just a ghost town right now and it's a mess. It just, I don't know. It just seems like a waste of money for something that's 17 days long. It's nice and everything. It's a coup for a country to be able to host the games, and but I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, to be honest. Just put it where you already have stuff. I think that's pretty simple.
Well, the problem with that is that the places where you already have stuff might not be big enough or have all of the stuff that's needed. Like you can think about it, Steve. You got to be near the mountains. Like you got to be able to do all the ski events, but you also got to be able to do all the skating events. You also got to be able to do the hockey. You need the speed skating. All of those venues in one place, unless it's a major metropolitan North American city or a major metropolitan European city. You're not going to have all those facilities in the same place in too many places. There's not that many around, I wouldn't think.
I don't know. To me, it's a red flag if I'm part of the IOC and deciding on a country and you don't have an arena, a proper arena for this thing, like that just tells me, look around. Does the city have all the venues they need? Obviously, no city has all the venues, but if you're lacking in half of them, then clearly you don't care enough about these sports, and chances are these buildings are going to be one and done for your nation anyway, because they don't support those sports. They don't care about those sports. Otherwise, they'd have those buildings in place already. Anyway, enough of that.
What about the rink we're trying to build in Lebanon, Steve?
But you're not vying for the Winter Olympics, are you?
No.
Okay.
We are. We do have blueprints. We do have a architecture firm. We're working on a rink to be built in Lebanon. The first one should be cool.
Like there's 0 rinks right now?
Correct. There's not a single rink anywhere in Lebanon. That's why we're not an official member of the IHF. We are an associate member, because one of the first things is you got to have a rink. You have to have a domestic league and a champion, and you got to have a rink. So yeah, we're working on it. We got the funding. We got plans. I met with when we were in New York, 2 years ago. We went and met with an architecture firm in Manhattan. I've seen the plans. It's going to be pretty cool, but I don't know if it's going to come in my lifetime, buddy. I'm getting old.
You and me both. But yeah, that would be I can see why that would be a thing. We're gonna need not just your like town or your city. We're gonna need your country to possess at least one hockey arena before we get too fired up about you. Anyway, that's great to see.
We digressed.
No, it's all good. It's all good. The upcoming schedule. Let's finish up with that. The Senators will be at Columbus as they start a roadie. They just got back from a 7-gamer, lost 3 games at home. Now they're back on the road again. Columbus on Thursday, the Minnesota Wild on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m., and then Monday night against the Winnipeg Jets in Manitoba, Portage in Maine, 50 below. No one colder than the Sens right now. Losers of 5-6. Boom.
50 below. I'm a little concerned about that game, Steve. That looks like it might be the return of Connor Hellebuck. He wanted to come back for the weekend, and the team said, no, let's take it a little longer. Well, I think if you don't make the weekend, a little longer to me means Monday. So it could be Monday night, and I assume it's going to be an Amazon Prime game on a Monday night against Winnipeg. Minnesota's been one of the better teams in the league all year. Columbus is doing surprisingly well. It's not getting easy. After that, it lightens up a little, but 7 games between now and Christmas, and I'm thinking you better get at least 10 points out of those 14 that are on the table if you want to have any decent shot of being in a playoff spot by, for January 1st into the new year. You better get 10 out of 14 points in this stretch coming up.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in terms of looking at this 3-game road trip. Like I don't think you can be thinking about a 1-2 mark. I mean, you got to get 2 out of 3 here, because it really is starting to slip away here right now. On our YouTube channel, you might be able to see, for some reason I've included in the shot on a few occasions, this big knob that's part of my stairway railing up here in the studio. And I got to thinking, this might make a pretty good panic button. Huh? What do you think?
Paint it red for next week.
Yeah, I'll make this.
Or is your panic time now? Like if they go, 3-game road trip, right? If it's 1-2, like if it's 2 points out of 6, is that panic time?
Yeah. Like I say, I think they have to get 2 out of 3 on this, because now it's already at 5 points. You only get 1 of 3. Chances are now you're talking about 6 or 7 points out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Done.
As we said at the start, you can this point in the season, you can have a lot of teams in front of you, or one or the other, or you can have a relatively big number in terms of points being back. But you can't have both, right? And now they're moving toward that. A lot of teams and a lot of points out of a playoff spot. That ain't going to fly. That's where it starts to get, you have to go Hamburglar. And Hamburglar runs come along once in a generation. So, yeah, they got to get it going here. And, 2 out of 3 on this roadie is not going to cut it, I'm afraid. We'll call it quits there.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said 2 out of 3 of this road trip ain't going to cut it.
Yeah. Right. I meant losing 2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Somebody told me that
true.
once.
Meatloaf. We hardly knew you.
Where's the line? The meat. Wasn't that? What's the line again?
So my old co-host, Buzz, Tim Kilpatrick, he did a lot of radio gigs in his day, and he was pretty pumped when he got an opportunity at a medium-sized venue to bring on Meatloaf, famous mostly in the 70s and 80s. Bit of an ego on that one, according to Buzz. Buzz was basically, he goes up to the microphone and he wasn't sure what was going on with Meatloaf, and he's over here schmoozing with a woman he met at the bar, and Buzz wandered over and said, looked at his watch, we're kind of we're 15 minutes late. Do you want to get going? I'll bring you on right now. He goes, the meat goes on when the meat says he's going to go on, or something like that. The meat goes on when he's ready, or so. Anyway. With that, we'll take our leave. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us today here on the Jim K. Ford Sens Nation podcast. We appreciate you being here. We also appreciate the folks at CJRO Radio. We appreciate our great sponsors. We appreciate the hockey news, thn.com/Ottawa. I'm the site editor over there, all kinds of cool articles that you can check out. Maybe some Greg Kennedy stuff around the corner. The coach puts pen to paper, huh? Huh?
I did. Figured a keyboard.
All right. With that, we're done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us. We'll talk to you at our next episode. Thanks, Greg.
Have a good one, bud. Thanks.